Michael Carter hadn't left his house in 3 days. Not because he didn't want to. Because walking from the bedroom to the kitchen already felt like climbing a mountain. The 63-year-old disabled Army veteran sat quietly in his wheelchair, staring at the white envelope trembling in his hands. The logo at the top made his stomach drop. Ravenwood Hills HOA. His breathing slowed. Another warning. Another threat. Another reminder that the people running this neighborhood wanted him gone. But when he opened the envelope, his entire body froze. Final notice, $10,000 HOA violation fine. Failure to pay within 14 days may result in legal seizure proceedings. Michael blinked at the paper. $10,000. For what? His lawn. His wheelchair ramp. The faded paint on his mailbox. He read deeper. And suddenly, his hands started shaking. The HOA claimed he committed property neglect, unauthorized structural modifications, and community value damage. Community value damage. The man had served his country for 22 years. Survived 2 combat deployments. Lost partial use of his legs after a roadside explosion overseas. And now, a group of wealthy suburban board members threatened to take his home away because his grass was slightly overgrown. Michael looked around the small house. Pictures of his late wife sat beside military medals nobody cared about anymore. This house was all he had left. And the HOA knew it. What Michael didn't know was that within 2 weeks, black FBI SUVs would surround the neighborhood, and the people terrorizing him would be dragged away in handcuffs, because the $10,000 fine was only the beginning. Ravenwood Hills looked perfect from the outside. Clean sidewalks, luxury homes, perfect lawns, artificial smiles. But behind the gates, people whispered about the HOA president, Denise Holloway, a woman obsessed with control. If your trash can stay outside too long, you got fined. Wrong flowers. Fine. Basketball hoop visible from the street. Fine. One family got cited because their Christmas lights were too colorful. People hated Denise, but they feared her more, because Denise controlled everything. And Michael Carter had become her favorite target. It started 6 months earlier. Michael's health worsened after surgery. He couldn't maintain the lawn the way he used to. His wheelchair ramp needed repairs. Paint peeled near the garage. Normal things most neighbors would ignore. But Denise saw opportunity. At the monthly HOA meeting, she pointed directly at Michael's house on a projector screen. Property values are dropping because of homes like this. Like this. Not that house. Homes like this. The room went silent. One board member quietly asked, "Isn't he disabled?" Denise smiled coldly. The rules apply equally to everyone. That sentence became her weapon. The rules apply equally to everyone. Soon the notices became non-stop. $200 fine. $500 fine. $1,200 fine. Every week another letter arrived. Michael tried explaining. He even showed medical documents proving mobility limitations. Denise didn't care. She denied every accommodation request. And then things became personal. One afternoon Michael struggled outside trying to fix a broken mailbox. A black Mercedes stopped nearby. Denise stepped out wearing sunglasses and holding a clipboard. "You have 48 hours to resolve this violation." Michael looked exhausted. "I'm trying." Denise glanced at the wheelchair. "Well, perhaps this community no longer fits your lifestyle." Then she walked away. Michael sat frozen. That sentence hurt more than the fines, because he realized something terrifying. They didn't want compliance. They wanted him gone. The pressure escalated fast. Michael started receiving legal notices from a law firm connected to the HOA. Threats of liens. Threats of foreclosure. Threats of court action. He stopped sleeping. Every sound outside made him anxious. Neighbors quietly watched from windows, but rarely intervened. Nobody wanted Denise targeting them next. Then one evening, a teenage neighbor named Ethan knocked on Michael's door. "Mr. Carter, someone spray-painted your garage." Michael opened the door slowly. His heart sank. Across the garage in giant red letters, "Move out." Michael stared silently. Ethan looked furious. "Do you know who did this?" Michael already suspected. Not Denise herself, but people loyal to her. People empowered by her cruelty. That night Michael sat alone in darkness. No television. No music. Just silence. And memories. His wife used to handle stress. She used to calm him down. But cancer took her 3 years earlier. Now the house felt emptier every day. Then the phone rang. Unknown number. Michael answered cautiously. "Mr. Carter." "Yes." "This is Karen Wells from the HOA legal department." Michael closed his eyes. "Here we go again." Karen continued. "If payment arrangements are not made immediately, seizure proceedings may begin." Michael whispered, "I don't have $10,000. Silence. Then Karen replied coldly, "That is not the association's concern." Click. Call ended. Michael lowered the phone slowly. For the first time in years, the veteran cried. Not from pain. Not from fear. But humiliation. He had survived war zones. Yet this neighborhood was destroying him emotionally. Meanwhile, inside a luxury restaurant downtown, Denise Holloway laughed over wine with 2 HOA board members. One of them asked, "You really think he'll leave?" Denise smirked. "He has no choice." Then another board member said something strange. "Careful, too much attention could expose things." Denise's smile faded briefly. "Relax, nobody audits HOAs." That sentence would soon destroy all of them. 3 days later, Michael received an unexpected visitor. A woman in her early 40s carrying a folder. "Mr. Carter, my name is Lisa Morno. I'm an investigative journalist." Michael looked confused. "I don't want publicity." Lisa nodded gently. "I understand, but you're not the only resident being targeted." That got his attention. Lisa explained she'd been investigating Ravenwood Hills for months. Multiple residents reported suspicious finds. Missing HOA funds. Selective enforcement. Threats. One elderly widow lost her home after legal fees exploded mysteriously. Another family claimed the HOA charged fake repair costs. And every trail somehow led back to Denise Holloway. Lisa opened the folder. Bank records. Invoices. Financial statements. There's money disappearing. Michael stared carefully. "What does that have to do with me?" Lisa leaned closer. "I think they're using aggressive fines to cover embezzlement." Michael frowned. She explained further. The HOA claimed massive community maintenance expenses. But many projects never happened. Landscaping budgets doubled. Security contracts inflated. Repair invoices looked fake. Someone was draining HOA money. And residents like Michael became convenient distractions. The louder Denise acted about violations, the less people questioned finances. Michael suddenly remembered something. Months earlier, he saw contractors removing boxes from the HOA office late at night. At the time, he ignored it. Now it seemed important. Lisa asked quietly, "Would you be willing to talk on record?" Michael hesitated. He hated attention. But then he looked again at the $10,000 fine sitting on the table. And something changed inside him. For months he'd been surviving. Now he was angry. Very angry. "They picked the wrong man," he whispered. Lisa's article went live 2 days later. Headline: Disabled veteran faces foreclosure, while HOA spending raises questions. The story exploded online. People flooded the HOA with outrage. Military communities shared Michael's story everywhere. Local news stations called nonstop. Denise panicked. At an emergency HOA meeting, she screamed at board members. Who leaked documents? Nobody answered. Because secretly, several board members were already scared. One member named Richard finally snapped. "You said this would never become public." Denise glared. "Keep your mouth shut." But it was too late. County officials requested financial audits. Residents demanded records. And then, a federal investigator contacted Lisa Morneau directly. Because one detail inside her article triggered something massive. Fraud involving federally protected disability housing accommodations. Now the FBI became interested. Meanwhile, Michael's life became chaos. Reporters camped outside his home. Supporters sent letters. Neighbors suddenly acted friendly. People who ignored him for months now offered help. But Michael noticed something disturbing. Denise disappeared. No meetings. No public appearances. No statements. Almost like she was preparing to run. Then late one night, Michael heard tires screech outside. He looked through the window. 2 men in hoodies were digging through his trash. Suddenly one shouted, "He's watching." The men jumped into a truck and sped away. Michael immediately called Lisa. "She's scared," Lisa said instantly. "Scared people make mistakes." The next morning, everything changed. At exactly 7:12 a.m., black SUVs entered Ravenwood Hills. Residents peeked through blinds. Children stopped riding bikes. Doors opened slowly. And then people saw the jackets. FBI agents moved directly toward Denise Holloway's mansion. Another team entered the HOA office. Another stopped at the home of the HOA treasurer. Neighbors stood frozen in silence. Michael watched from his porch in disbelief. An FBI agent approached him calmly. "Mr. Carter." "Yes." "We may need a statement from you." Michael nodded slowly. Then he asked the question everyone feared. "What's happening?" The agent looked toward Denise's house. Financial crimes investigation. Seconds later, Denise Holloway emerged in handcuffs. And the entire neighborhood lost its mind. News helicopters circled overhead. Residents gathered outside despite police warnings. Denise screamed while agents escorted her toward the SUV. This is harassment. Nobody believed her anymore. Because investigators uncovered something horrifying. The HOA wasn't just corrupt. It operated like a criminal enterprise. Fake vendor companies. Forged invoices. Kickback schemes. Money laundering through maintenance contracts. Over $2.3 million missing. And the cruel fines. They were designed to silence residents and generate fast cash. But the darkest discovery shocked everyone. Denise intentionally targeted vulnerable homeowners, disabled residents, elderly residents, widows, people less likely to fight back legally. Michael wasn't random. He was selected because Denise believed a disabled veteran living alone would stay quiet. Instead, he became the reason everything collapsed. Then came the final twist. Richard, the nervous board member, secretly recorded multiple HOA meetings, including one conversation where Denise said, "If we pressure Carter hard enough, he'll either leave or die in that house." The recording leaked publicly. The outrage became national. Even Denise's attorney looked horrified. Michael listened to the recording alone in his kitchen. His expression never changed, but tears slowly rolled down his face. Not sadness this time. Validation. For months, everyone treated him like a burden. Now the truth was exposed. He was never the problem. They were. 6 months later, Ravenwood Hills looked very different. New HOA leadership, federal oversight, criminal trials pending. Multiple board members pleaded guilty. And Michael Carter, he walked slowly but proudly into a community ceremony surrounded by neighbors. Not fake smiles this time. Real respect. A local veterans organization paid for full repairs on his home. Volunteers rebuilt the wheelchair ramp. Teenagers landscaped his yard for free. Even Ethan, the kid who first warned him about the graffiti, helped paint the garage. Then the mayor stepped forward holding a plaque for courage in exposing corruption. The crowd applauded loudly. Michael looked overwhelmed. He spent months believing nobody cared. But now he understood something important. Cruel people often appear powerful until someone survives long enough to expose them. As the ceremony ended, Lisa Morneau approached Michael smiling. "You know your story changed federal HOA oversight discussions." Michael chuckled softly. "All because of grass violations." Lisa laughed. Then Michael looked across the neighborhood quietly. The same streets that once made him feel hunted now felt peaceful again. And for the first time in a very long time, the veteran finally felt at home.